I'm in love with my best friend that used to be chubby, but I don't know how to tell her, and I don't want her to think I only like her now that she isn't chubby. I, 27 male, met one of my closest friends, 28 female, about 2 years ago at the library, and I just realized that I am completely in love with her. For context, when we met, I was in a toxic relationship with my now ex. She was focusing on school, working and getting in shape, so I never really saw her romantically due to these factors, but I've always thought she was a beautiful person and a joy to be around. I'll call her Kelsey. I've told her things I wouldn't dream of telling my ex, talked for hours about anything, played board games, watched movies, went to restaurants, invited her to my book club and just included her in almost every aspect of my life as she did the same with me, but we were rarely alone together. Nothing intimate besides hugs and jokes with friends, so never really thought of her like that. I finally had enough of the years-long verbal abuse, threatening to hurt herself and mind games with my ex, when I started to realize I was spending more time with Kelsey and would sometimes forget about my own girlfriend as Kelsey made me happy, and my ex did nothing but fill me with dread. It was roughly 7 months ago when I broke up with her. Kelsey 2 years ago was a bit chubby and she was working really hard to get it off, so I was super supportive of her and gave her fitness and nutrition tips. She has gone from 195 pounds to 130 pounds, but her heaviest was apparently 260 pounds. You can't even tell she was once that size. I'm so proud of her, and ever since the breakup she's all I can think about, and we've been spending some time alone now. Her lips, the way she laughs, her smile, her eyes, and yes, her body is incredible. The fact she put in the work to lose the weight and is disciplined to keep it off while working and going to school makes her even more attractive to me. She's always been there without me even asking. She would just know I needed her support in some way, and I would always find a way to let her know I truly appreciated her. I had a feeling she felt the same about me, but I let a bunch of insecurities. I'm freakishly tall, been called boring, told I talk too much, hate my chin, etc. stop me from telling her how I felt. A few weeks ago we were all at a taco joint with friends stuffing our faces and having a great time, until a guy approached her and offered to buy her a drink. My heart sank and I immediately wanted to tell him off. She's not interested, but was able to fight it off as I knew it was irrational and I had no right to do that. She sweetly agreed with some encouragement from the girls at the table and followed him to the bar, and they started chatting. I had never been so angry, sad, and guilty at the same time about a woman. All the time I've known her, she's been single except for a few dates that ended up wanting to just be casual, which really hurt her as she doesn't hook up and hasn't been intimate with anyone for a few years since she was focusing on herself. Guys and girls hit on her all the time, and it's always made me irrationally upset even before I realized I loved her because they didn't know her. So I should have been happy that she was talking to this guy and seemingly enjoying herself. She was giggling, smiling, sharing nachos with him. I was unbelievably bummed, so I started to head out as I didn't want to watch her flirt with this guy and cause a scene. When I got home I saw she sent me a good night text saying that she hopes I feel better. Friends told her I wasn't feeling too hot, she was worried as I'd kinda been off, and let her know if I needed someone to talk to. I fell in love again. I decided I was going to tell her how I felt as it wasn't fair to her and it was unhealthy keeping it in since I can barely form sentences around her now. I asked one of the girls if she had an idea that Kelsey might have a crush on me after explaining why I wanted to know. She confessed that she did indeed, yes, but apparently Kelsey told her that she didn't think I'd ever date her because she used to be huge. She's not in my league and I probably only saw her as another sister. I was devastated. I gave her that impression and almost didn't believe it, but it all makes sense as to why she would think that. I've never made any kind of move on her and I myself am a pretty fit guy, plus my ex was super skinny. I'm so afraid to make a move now that she's lost so much weight that she's going to think I only like her now because she's not big anymore and my feelings are surface level. She means so much to me and I don't want to mess this up. Most of my friends are saying she's going to understand and not take it personally because she knows me. Some said she's gonna think I just want to bang her now that she's hot. My sisters think I should tread lightly as she could feel like a rebound. How to approach this without coming off as shallow and potentially losing her or her respect. Thank you. Sorry this was crazy long guys, I'm stressed. Update 1 week later. Guys, holy hell, I didn't expect this to blow up to the way it did whatsoever. And I'm currently even more mortified, but it's so worth it. After coming back to these comments and messages over and over, I realized I was severely overthinking everything, making things way harder than needed, and came to the conclusion that I didn't need to bring up such a sensitive topic in the first place just to tell her how I feel, especially since she didn't confess that to me directly. I realized I just needed to tell her how I felt, and everything else would hopefully fall into place. I texted her the next morning asking if we could grab a bite, just the two of us sometime on the upcoming weekend. I told her that I had something important to tell her, and that I missed her, which was true. I stupidly ended up worrying her with the way I worded this. She thought I was moving, however she was excited and told me she missed me too. She was free that night if I was down and the day after next. I very much started to panic as it was sooner than anticipated, but that night really was the best time. I was still too embarrassed to show her the previous post in its entirety, but I was willing to do so if she doubted my intentions. To keep this brief, I'll spare the mushy details, but we met at her favorite tea shop, caught up for a while, then she actually outright asked me what I needed to tell her. It took me a bit to articulate everything since I was actively trying not to stutter like a dweeb, but I told her most of what I originally posted. That I've had feelings for her even before the breakup and just didn't know how to tell for so many reasons. I told her the important ones, but that she's always on my mind. I've always loved how kind, caring, thoughtful, dedicated, and just all around amazing on top of being so beautiful. She made me realize sacrificing my happiness to keep someone that hates me alive was unhealthy, that I deserved to be happy and I was always the happiest with her. No one brightened my day like she did. She looked preciously stunned for a moment after I was done and was tearing up a bit at this point, but she proceeded to tell me she's felt the same since we met and had a tiny feeling I liked her. However, she didn't think I'd be interested in dating her since we were such close friends, plus the toll my ex put on me meant I probably needed some time to recover, but she was just so happy I actually had the guts to tell her how I felt. That she was never going to tell me, so we both kinda awkwardly laughed for a bit. We talked for a while more and I was so overjoyed, relieved and super nervous as the mood immediately shifted to something newly intimate. But I did end up asking to take her out on a real date, whenever she was ready, as I did just lay a lot on her. Long story short, as a lot has happened since then, she's now currently my girlfriend. We're taking things super slow. Our second date is in a few days and I'm kicking myself for not telling her sooner. She hasn't mentioned her weight at all and I will be 100% showing her the post if she ever does, so now I'm really glad I didn't start off with that. I'm so thankful for each and every one of you for your feedback, encouragement, support, and couldn't have done it without you guys. Serious rock stars over here.